Craig Lesser is a man of vision. And Georgia is so lucky that he is now the commissioner of the Georgia Department of Economic Development. After he graduated from the State University of New York, he attended Harvard and their advanced management program, and then he spent more than 20 years in corporate governmental affairs and in communications as a communication strategist for variants of the Southern Company. He was at Mirant. He was CEO and president of Mirant New York, and he was vice president of Mirant Americas. And for them, he represented them at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level. And he had started his career at another Southern company, Georgia Power, right here in Georgia. And for them, he represented them at the state legislature and in Washington. He's been on numerous boards, including Tech High, yay, for that kind of leadership, and also in the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. He's been chairman of the board for the Georgia Tourism Foundation and for Georgia Special Olympics and for Georgia Public Policy Foundation. He is a man of vision, and we consider him one of ours. We are so pleased to have him today talk about the global influence and aspects of Georgia.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Hello, everybody. I do not speak Korean. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I thought Brenda did for a moment, but thank you very much for that. Same to you. Well, we have a lot to talk about today, but there's some media here, so let's see. Kia, that's a secret. I'm not going to talk about that. Gulfstream, no, that's a secret. I'm not going to talk about that. Any questions from anybody? Boy, we have a lot to be proud of in the state of Georgia right now. This is one of the most exciting times, I think, that we could possibly be having in the history of our state. And I thought about so many of the things that I want to talk about today, and I'm going to leave out so many incredible things that are going on, not just in our department, not just in other areas of state government, but when you step back and take a look at people working together right now across the state. I came into government July 1st of 2004, and I had heard some stories about how some agencies had worked together in the past, you know, in past years. And I got to tell you, it has been one of the most extraordinarily rewarding experiences to be part of the Perdue administration and to work with other agency heads, work with other staffs throughout government on a regular, routine, familiar basis and be able to get things done. And I want to give you an example because it's associated with that little announcement that Governor Perdue made 14 time zones away a week ago Monday in Korea, in which he signed an agreement with Kia Motor Corporation that will bring a $1.2 billion investment to the state, 2,893 jobs, at least, from Kia to start, and thousands, literally thousands more supplier jobs. And we had worked very closely with some other elements in state government, some other initiatives in state government to work together to get that contract done. The Kia people tell us that's the fastest negotiation they are aware of in terms of any investment of an automobile manufacturer in any state in the United States. Just came from a meeting that we put together this morning in the governor's office, and we're just calling it, for lack of a better phrase, the Kia SWAT team. And we asked agency heads from literally a dozen agencies to come together because the Department of Transportation, the Department of Labor, the Department of Community Affairs, and so on, will be working on this project to make sure Kia meets all of its deadlines to produce cars and maybe even a pickup truck. We did recommend that they do that when we were in Korea. We said, you got to make a pickup truck. I mean, you know, it could be a hybrid, but we've got to have a pickup truck. But everybody has been working together. We pulled together 30 people this morning, and everybody's on board. And I got to tell you, what is remarkable about that is not so much that everybody's together, but think about the face that that gives to the state of Georgia. Think of what that does to a prospect coming into the state that says, can we do business here? Can we invest our money? Can we build something here? Can we make a product here? And can we work with government agencies? And it was also fascinating during this basically 12-week process. We had to work very closely with local communities. West Point, Georgia, LaGrange, Georgia, and the Troup County community. Now, we were looking at a parcel of land in excess of 2,000 acres, butting right up to Interstate 85, about 5 miles inside the Georgia line from Alabama. 30 parcels. And the local development agency from West Point worked with all of those individuals, and within a few weeks had options on all the property. All the property. People working together saying, what's for the greater good? We had the local folks, the state folks, and I must admit that when we were standing there in Korea, 9 o'clock in the morning at a news conference where the president of Kia Motors and Governor Perdue were signing the contract, I thought to myself, this is why I agreed to come into state government and why all of you do what you do for a better state of Georgia, because we're making difference. We're making a difference in the lives of Georgians. Thousands of Georgians, and some people in Alabama, are going to benefit and have a better life as a result of all of the work that we as a team do. And it's not any one individual, it's not any one department. It's everybody coming together. And I just, before going into some other aspects of what we do, just share with you that it has been an absolute delight to work in the Perdue administration, to work with Governor Perdue and COO Jim Lentz, to have the opportunity to work together with people to see how we can make things just a little bit better every single day. It is extraordinarily rewarding to do that in this administration. Well, the Kia announcement has been all over the state. Chuck went with us. Chuck is with the Columbus paper, and Chuck went over to Korea with us and had, I hope, a great experience traveling with us. But there's one piece that I just want to talk about here today. 2,893 jobs. The Atlanta newspapers have reported that we're paying on average about $160,000 a job. I just want to clear that up. As we went into this project, we looked very carefully at what other foreign investments in the Southeast in automobile manufacturing were all about and what the incentive packages were on a per job basis, what they ended up being. And they essentially come into three categories. Tax abatements, which are taxes we wouldn't have gotten anyway had that not come. Transportation and land improvements. And then the third area is training. Training for employees. And I should tell some of you who do not know that we have the finest employee training program in the United States. The Quick Start program in the Department of Technical and Adult Education is singly the best training program in the United States. And it is an extraordinary recruiting tool for us. So 2,893 jobs. The state piece of the overall package is approximately $258 million. And when you do the math, it's about $88,000 a job. And just to put it in perspective, Hyundai, which owns Kia, invested in Alabama about 3 years ago. And their package is about $50,000 more per job than the package we have. I would also remind you of one other thing you may have read about. There was evidently some kind of offer made by the state of Mississippi. Now, our total package with local incentives was in the area of about $410 million. The state of Mississippi, it is reported, offered a package worth approximately $980 million for the same plant. I think we did okay, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of our team. Thank you. Thank you. Well, It has been an extraordinary month. We had an announcement 2 weeks ago, Gulfstream adding 1,100 new jobs, 200 new jobs in Douglas. These announcements last week. Unfortunately, there is a bit of bad news. I got news this morning that in Rabun County, a textile factory up there will be shutting down this summer, and that's 900 jobs. 900 jobs in Rabun County that are going to be tough to replace. But what I have discovered, whether it's in northeast Georgia or southwest Georgia or any place in between, is that when those kinds of announcements occur, the local community gets together, the state works together, and everybody works together and faces the challenge. And while it's a tough transition for those people that are going to lose their jobs, it is an extraordinarily tough transition. We will be better at the end of all that. And that's the exciting part of it. I think our session today was billed about international and global impact of what we're doing. And I would like to share with you some of the things that we're doing on the international stage that some of you have been involved with over at least the last 2 years. We have embarked, Governor Perdue initiated a program about almost 3 years ago to attain the Secretariat, or the Office for the Free Trade Agreement of the Americas, and have it placed right here in Atlanta. What an extraordinary marketing tool. Now, it's been 3 years, and at first, everybody thought that our odds of getting that were about the same as when Billy Payne said we're going to go after the Olympics. Little or no chance. Now, the FTAA agreement, the Free Trade Agreement of the Americas, is not even close to being agreed upon. That's kind of the not so great news. But we're now in the top 4. By all unbiased observers, we're in the top 4, and there are literally dozens of cities that are vying for that. But we're in the top 4. Why are we in the top 4? Because working with the mayor, the governor, state, local, public-private partnership, Hemisphere Incorporated, which is part of our department, has embarked on a campaign to develop relationships in the Western Hemisphere, 34 countries. And just to give you an idea of how effective that has been, in 2004, our department made 75 trips on behalf of the state of Georgia in the Western Hemisphere. In 2005, we made 232 trips. And so what's all that about? It's about something called relationships. You see, when we go and meet with presidents of foreign countries and CEOs of major businesses and small business folks and university presidents and people who head up museums in different countries, what we talk about is the relationship that we can develop between this incredible state and the incredible people that live here and the incredible offerings that we have, and develop the relationship with that individual country. So another state or another city south of Georgia that is vying for the title of Secretariat for the Free Trade Agreement of the Americas, it's south of here, it's see, sometimes they go and they say, are you with us? Are you going to support us? And if the answer is no, they turn around and leave. And we say, when we go to a country, will you support us? And they say, well, maybe we'll think about it, or we're already committed to supporting another city. And we say, that's fine. But we're here to do business. We're here to exchange educational information, cultural information, and encourage growth of business between the state of Georgia and your country. And not only that, we're coming back. And we'll be back again and again. And we'd like you to consider Georgia as your second choice if you choose to change your mind. Developing those relationships has been extraordinary. And there have been 2 companies in particular in Georgia that have really incredibly supported this effort. Delta Airlines, with its expansion of routes in the Western Hemisphere, has been an extraordinary partner in this. See, we do something that's kind of fun. We piggyback on each other. Doug Blissett is here from Delta Airlines. We do this really neat thing. When they announce a new route in the Western Hemisphere, they get a great deal of publicity. Well, when they get that publicity, they tie it in with the state's effort to get the free trade agreement, and we tie Delta's efforts in with our efforts for free trade. So everybody benefits, and it becomes an even bigger event when we go to that particular country. We spend 2 or 3 days with seminars, tourism activities, small business activities, and we end up with these extraordinary relationships. One just side note, we went to Honduras on the original flight, the startup flight, direct flight from Atlanta to San Pedro Sula in Honduras. The president of the country was there. All these great folks were there to celebrate Delta's inaugural nonstop flight to Atlanta, from Atlanta. And I got to my hotel room. It was dark. This has been about 3 weeks ago. So you know I had this Korean company on my mind because we were working very hard on those negotiations. I got to my room, it was dark, I went to sleep, I woke up the next morning, I drew the drapes apart, and there was this big sign. There was a Kia dealership right there. Thank you. It was an omen, and it worked out just great. But the concept is we all work together. Public, private, state, local, and it works. We also, whether it's in the Western Hemisphere or around the rest of the world, do some incredible things with our partners at Coca-Cola. Matt Eccles is here from Coca-Cola. They open doors for us. We open doors for them. It's an incredible partnership, and that's something that's very unique with the business community in this state and the state government and local governments. I have discovered from dealing with my colleagues around the rest of the country. They don't enjoy the same kind of atmosphere, the same kind of working together environment that we enjoy here in Atlanta and in the state of Georgia. Well, a little bit about our offices. We are now represented in 10 countries around the world. The state of Georgia has a presence in 10 different countries around the world. Now, Governor Busby, years ago, did an extraordinary job of setting our relationship up with Japan. An extraordinary relationship that has grown to this day and is profitable to this day. Successive governors have done the same thing. But I don't know that we've ever seen the kind of international marketing that we are now doing around the entire world. Our emphasis continues in Europe, where so much of our investment comes from. We are redoubling our efforts in Canada, where most of in fact, Canada is our #1 trading partner. And in eastern Canada, 2 hours away by Delta's jets, where most people speak English in eastern Canada, they want to do business with us. They want to do business right here in Georgia. All of the work we're doing in Central and South America and the burgeoning opportunities we have in Asia. I have learned something about Asia. For years, everybody told me before going to Asia, you've got to know that it's about relationships, and people won't do business with you unless you have a relationship. Well, you know what? That's what Georgians are good at. Because think about it. In Tifton, Georgia, it's just as important to have a relationship. So we learn that as we grow and we do business in our state. It's about relationships. We've got offices in, and Loretta, help me if I miss one. Loretta Lepore is our Director of Communications for the Department of Economic Development. We have offices in Israel, Germany, France, the United Kingdom in London, Canada, Mexico, Chile, Brazil, Korea, and Japan. Did I get it? Yes. And we opened those last two, Chile and Brazil, we opened in the fall of 2005. We just continue to grow. The opportunities are growing every single day. Many of you have read the Tom Friedman book, The World is Flat. It really is. I traveled to I traveled to 14 countries last year on behalf of the state of Georgia. Now, one quick story I must share with you. I went to China. Governor Perdue said, go to China and take a look and see if we should have a presence in China, and if we should, where should we have a presence in China? We went to Shanghai, Beijing, and Ningxia province, which is near Lower Mongolia. We started out in Shanghai. I had this little baby with me, this little BlackBerry, voice and data. Worked like a charm in Shanghai. It was unbelievable. Worked like a charm. 5 bars. I could really disturb my staff. 12-hour time difference. It was wonderful. I turned mine off when I was sleeping, of course. Shanghai worked like a charm. Went to Beijing. I thought, it's not going to work real well in Beijing. This is the capital of the largest communist country in the world. People are going to be looking down, and it's going to be cloudy every day, and all the bicycles are going to be all over. Nobody's going to have any of these. It's not going to work over there. Worked like a charm. One of the most incredible cities I've ever been to in my life. Shanghai is probably the commercial capital of the world, or will soon be, and Beijing is alive, and they're getting ready for the Olympics. We met with the executive vice president of the Olympics. Now, the Olympics is a few years away. They said, we've learned from what happened in Athens, where, you know, the venues weren't ready until, like, right before the runners got to the starting line. And they said, we're not going to make that mistake. We're going to get everything done way early. Well, the Olympic Committee went to him and said, could you slow down? We'd really like you to see it finish a little closer to the Olympics. They're just incredible. Construction cranes everywhere. It's a remarkable place. 5 bars, okay? We went to Ningxia province. Ningxia province is an hour by air, 19 hours by rail, or 6 days by car from Beijing. That gives you an idea how far away we were and how remote this place is. 5 bars. Now, I live in Dunwoody. Y'all know the punchline. But I'm going to tell you anyway. I go down Spalding Drive, and late at night I'm always on the phone, right? Chris Comiskey's here. I'm on the phone to Chris Comiskey. And I'm driving down. I have one of those Ford Crown Vics, you know, one of those big black state vehicles, looks like a patrol car, unmarked car. I know exactly where the signal will die. Exactly, to the inch. So I pull in this guy's driveway. That's about 3 or 4 feet before that spot. And I know his neighbors think he's under surveillance. Because I'm there every night. Every night. Ningxia province, 5 bars. We better get it. Because it's coming closer together. From a transportation perspective with Delta Airlines, take a look at a Delta Airlines international route map with direct flights coming out of Atlanta, going all around the world, and you'll think, no, you won't think, you'll know that this is Georgia's time, because Georgia is in the center of the world right now. It's an extraordinary place. We talk to people in different countries around the world, and we remind them that we are in the center of the fastest growing part of the United States with 65 million consumers. 65 million consumers, and growing. And Atlanta's right in the middle of that, the fastest growing ports on the East Coast, incredible resources, the best universities, public and private, anywhere, the best workforce anywhere, an unbelievable physical climate. Can it get any better than this? Well, a lot of states sell different things, but Georgia puts it together, and what puts it together more than anything else is the leadership in this state that is coming together, working state and local. It's not just at the state level. It's at the local level as well. It's business working with elected and appointed leaders. It's everybody working together. And I am so proud to be working at the State Department of Economic Development. Brenda said that I was chair of the Georgia Public Policy Foundation. I think I was for 3 weeks. But I have it on my resume. Thank you all very, very much. Yes, sir.
Okay, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
Okay, I won't.
Okay, can you sell Atlanta to South America when you have a legislature right now who wants to tax 5% of the money people send them down to South America?
Well, you know, there are always going to be political issues and obstacles. Fortunately, there are other sales points that far overwhelm that issue. That issue is not resolved, and I think we all know where some of us would like to go with that issue. But the fact is that we have so many overwhelmingly positive things that, yes, that can be a challenge, but we have way too many positives to overwhelm that. There are way too many things that interest investors, interest tourists, and interest people who want to sell their products in this state and in the Southeast. We're always going to have obstacles. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. The immigration issue is another issue that we have to carefully navigate through. But that's the whole that to me is the exciting part of being where we are, doing what we're doing, being part of this entire leadership group, is that we somehow find a way to get through that. Yes?
Craig, when you're promoting Georgia, specifically Atlanta, and the subject of education comes up, I mean, we all know that we don't have the best education system. Well, how do you counter those conversations that you have with potential companies?
I remind people about Tech High and the wonderful things that are going on in charter schools in Atlanta, and the will to move in the right direction. What businesses tell us is they're not so concerned about what is now, they're concerned about what direction are we going. That's what concerns them most. And we're proud to say that the direction that we're going is a very positive direction. And that's a very easy sale. Again, there are so many overwhelmingly positive things that yes, with those obstacles, we do have to explain those, because it's very clear to people who do their investigation that there are some issues that we have to overcome. But when they see the direction, when they see the will to do things like what Kelly talked about at Tech High, that pretty well takes care of it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What is the role of your department in the proposed base closings?
The BRAC Commission and we worked together on that to try to forestall any of that. Obviously, we weren't successful 100%, but we will be working very closely with them and the local communities now in making sure that whatever the impact is, we find ways to make those economic development not anything but challenges and opportunities for us moving forward. There are lots of ideas about what we can do with places like Fort Mac. There's some wonderful opportunities there, and we're going to make the best of it. And yes, again, transitions are tough. They are difficult, especially for those people that are directly involved. But ultimately, we will be better for it. One more, Mike?
Craig, at what point will we know whether the federal government wants to make use of any of those military-based properties, any percentage of those properties, so that all the rest of the conversations can actually really go forward?
I think that's still going to take some time, and I don't know that there's a specific time frame for that, but it's going to take some time. And I think we're all going to know about it when the federal government is ready to let us know. Not Thursday, though. Thank you all very, very much.